afternoon, everyone. My name again is Broderick Woods with the Mississippi Farm to School Network, where I'm the early child care specialist. And I'm going to just start off by saying welcome to everyone here today. We're glad to have you here to this second workshop of the day. And I'm going to go in and start off by introducing our speaker for this time, Tameka Bell, who's a farm coordinator at Choctaw Fresh, and someone who I've had the pleasure of meeting through our Mississippi Fellowship and getting to know about all the amazing work that she's doing with Choctaw Fresh. And without further ado, we're going to watch this presentation first, and then we'll have Tameka following it.
All right, everyone, here's a video of Choctaw Fresh that we had Danny K out of Oxford, Mississippi do. We hope that you enjoy it.
My name is Tameka Bell, and I am the local foods coordinator, kind of coordinate the program and our office to kind of coincide with each other to get better food nutrition out to the tribal members. We were established in 2012. Our whole main purpose, like I stated earlier, is our vision is to be a forefront more so for the tribal government to establish all these products into our programs like elderly, diabetes, even to be GAP certified, USDA, and organic to help out with our tribal schools as well. So that kind of broadens us out to the public as well. Especially our tribal government is our main focus, the Savannah Choctaw Indians. They take a good liking to it actually, because majority of this we center around our farm manager has much love for our tribal members to the point where she grows it to the point where it surrounds our cultural. So a lot of this, we had it so many years back where we were providing for our family just as gardening and cooking however we can with all these vegetables.
Yes, I am Daphne Snow, the farm manager for Choctaw Fresh Produce, and you are inside our new greenhouse that was built this past year. Well, this is where we do all of our own seed starts. We grow all of our own transplants. We are certified organic, so it's easier for us to grow our own plants and transplants versus going out and trying to find certified organic transplants. So what we do, we start in December and January for the spring-summer season. We'll start the seed in here, and then also we'll start seed again all throughout the year for different growing seasons. So for the spring and summer, we grow anything from tomatoes, bell peppers, squash, zucchini, a lot of your typical vegetables. And what we do is we start the seed here, then they're allowed to remain in the greenhouse. Once they germinate, they'll stay in here 6 to 8 weeks, and then they're ready to go in the high tunnels or a field garden.
I'm Joshua Bell. I'm a farmer technician here. We have 2 tunnels on each side. There's 5 rows. Right now we're growing from mustard greens, red and green. We got turnip greens, we got Swiss chards, and pak choy. Pak choy, we have a pak choy over here. If you cook it just right, you won't have to add nothing, no salt, no nothing. It's just like cabbage with a little zing to it.
And this gives us more control, like I was saying, since we're organic, we can control the potting soil, where the seed come from, everything that allows us to be certified organic. Well, for instance, right now, because some things take longer in the greenhouse than others, some of the first things we grow would be, we do grow our own yellow onions, tomato plants, collards, eggplants, bell peppers, and these are some of the first things. And then, like I was saying, in a few weeks we'll start to seed cucumber, squash, zucchini, things that take less time to germinate.
Our main focus is we try to do everything from scratch, as far as seeding, harvesting ourselves, packing.
Try to maintain it as much as we can. I've never had to do any of this, so to learn and to see before my own eyes how it grows from being a little seed to what it is now, it's quite amazing.
We have the capacity to grow probably 75,000 transplants in this greenhouse. So it not only does it allow for us to grow for our own high tunnels, but we could sell transplants or provide transplants to tribal members.
We try to take the load off of people so that it's kind of like fresh enough where you're able to put it around your table that same day after it's been harvested.
You know, during these hardships, you know, people, they don't have much and everything. We try to give back to them, especially our elders. We try to take care of the elders.
And like I said, our main focus is always being able to be an outreach to all members of the tribe, knowing that we're here, we're looking for the health, well-being with the high risk of obesity and diabetes, and especially with this COVID go-around, we hope that maybe that could in some ways play a part as to staying healthy for this COVID until everything subsides.
We are organic, so you know, we try to allow them to live a healthy lifestyle. I think it'll just be an amazing growth to see in this community.
With the limited help that we have, or limited employees that we have, we started implementing activities such as U-Pick. Before everything hit hard, we were actually doing a U-Pick harvest that gave the opportunity for the communities to come out and, you know, pick any veggies that they wanted, no limits to it, free of charge, to come out with their families and bring it back to how the ancestral roots were, where they're able to pick out for their own food.
We're going to have a community garden. We're going to have a place that anybody can come and walk through an actual field garden, and it'll be available to them, whether you're, you know, children, the elders, everybody. And they'll be able to get stuff from the community garden. So, you know, we're just focused more on health, food sovereignty, providing the most nutritious, freshest vegetables we can, and keeping it here on the reservation.
I guess we're teaching them to come together, you know, with this COVID also, all of that needs to be reminded again. That this is just some of the stuff that we need to result back to get our tribe healthy and also bring our families together.
That was a beautiful, beautiful presentation, but now we're going to open up the floor to any questions. Does anybody have any questions? You can put them in the Q&A box. But I'm going to start off with one question in particular.
The project. I have another video from Tameka.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's going to talk a little bit about what they do in the community. So we'll share that really short video, and then you guys, we would love your questions.
Hello to everyone. My name is.
But feel free to type your questions in as the videos go so that you won't lose it along the way. So if you think of a question, just go ahead and throw it in the chat. I mean, in the Q&A spot so that we'll have it.
Hello to everyone. My name is Tameka Bell, and I am the local food coordinator and grant writer for Choctaw Fresh Produce. Choctaw Fresh Produce was established in 2012, and it is a tribally organic farm owned by the New Savannah Choctaw Indians. There are 4 mini farms around the tribal community, which are all GAP and organic certified, allowing us to service to our tribal schools, programs, and to our casinos. One of the perks of Choctaw Fresh Produce is we go through a no-tilling method. We make ourselves accessible by holding farm tours and running our mobile market in the rural communities. Choctaw Fresh aims to inspire and empower the tribal communities to be on the forefront to be a sustainable food system.
So, Tameka, one of the things that I'm curious about, because I remember visiting the farm and being able to see everything, but have you all ever considered livestock, or have you all ever had it and you no longer do? Or how is that going? Is that too large of a reach, or what is the case with livestock?
Yeah, that is something that we're looking into. Right now, we only have altogether 5 employees. And obviously right now it's even tough trying to get to all 4 of our farms, which I think each farm is basically 30 minutes away from each other. And I think our furthest is actually an hour away. But I think we're trying to make Pearl River, where you came and visited, we're trying to make that one our main farm tour, our main, we're trying to bring in a general store too. So hopefully we're going to start broadening out slowly, but I think it's going to be more so we need more employees before to that level of capacity.
Okay. Okay. What now? And I do recall with the 4 sites. With the 4 sites, what is the difference between the sites? Is it something that's grown in specialty on each particular site, or is it just better for distribution, or how does that work? What is the purpose of the 4 different sites?
Yeah, the main focus is we tried to make sure each farm was hidden each tribal school. So every time you see a farm, next to it will be a tribal school, elementary tribal schools.
I think that's amazing. That's beautiful. I have one other question. What sorts of educational opportunities do you have for the community through the farm?
Through the fall, like I said, we do farm tours. This one was way before me, before I got on board, but they used to let the seniors come out. We have this program called Youth Opportunity Program where all the tribal member kids, I think it's from 16, it might be 15 to 18 or 16 to 18, that actually start looking into what career focus they want to go into. So we offer that because we have someone in here that's a nutritional, we have someone that's actually trying to get into agricultural, grant writing, I kind of use my degree toward to do the grant writing and the budgeting. So, I mean, really, people want to think agriculture wise just deals with like farm hands, but really when you look at it in-house and out there, you're actually using all of the aspects of a career.
What, aside from your alliance within the tribe, the tribe land, who else do you partner with maybe outside of, do you all work with anyone else? And if so, what do you all do when you all work together in partnerships or events, but prior to COVID or whatever the case is?
Yeah, we're actually, I will admit, Choctaw Fresh was very small and nobody really knew us. But now we've gotten to the point where we're partnering up with Choctaw. It's called Choctaw Fresh food distribution, which will be able to actually accommodate everyone that's getting commodity foods. And we're about to partner up with this big program, USET. It's like a big Choctaw program organization that comes together, and we're going to be focusing on around cultural, well, Choctaw significantly, Choctaw cultural food tasting. So we do actually go out there and try to work with other people besides, I mean, our main focus is tribal members, but then at the same time, we are willing to work with other programs as well.
Are you all able to sell now to your schools from the products that you all have? If so, how is that working?
Yes, we are able to provide to them. Through the Farm to School grant, we are actually getting, like this season is the greens, so we're giving it out to our schools. Let me get this right now, I think there are 7 tribal schools around the community here in Philadelphia. So whichever one we're able to accommodate to, the quantity of collard greens or whatever greens, we're able to give it to each school.
So the bulk of your market is not to the schools, it's other entities or farmers markets or CSAs or whatever?
Yes, we do CSAs. We do a actual kiosk table at our casino here. We have 2 casinos, so we actually give it to the ADR, EDR, which is the associates. Any employee that works for the tribe, we're able to give to them our programs, and also our quarantine families and our elderly. I think that's who we've mostly been giving it to right now.
I have another question. With you all being such a small group, how is it that you all are able to accomplish so much? What is the drive that keeps you all going with this? What is something that you use to keep motivation? Because one thing that I've discovered when we try to get this going in new schools, people get burned out. People can't handle it. It's too much adding on top of their already working tasks. So what are some of the things that you do to keep staff and everyone just kind of closely knit and supporting one another?
Yeah, we have been getting involved with our tribal officials, like our chief and our councils, kind of getting it out there that, hey, we need to make our community, our tribal members healthy. So we started off having meetings with them, but more so with us in-house wise. I think it takes a lot of love for your people to have that drive and that fire to do it, because there's some days I'm in the office, like, well, example with me. Some days I'm in the office, some days I have to go out there and help seed with Daphne, or I have to go harvest if someone's not in, or we don't have a mobile marketer. So I have to do sales and mobile marketing. So we got to be able to all help each other and at the same time multitask. Yes.
What do you want schools to know about buying from local farmers? What is something that when you go into the schools that you all discuss when you do sell to school?
Yeah, most of our focus, we do an activity with through Farm to School. We do local food of the month, that kind of like our kids, our tribal kids, love to eat the same stuff over and over. If you give them mac and cheese, Lord, honey, they're gonna keep eating that for the rest of the school year. But we try to, like I said, focus on different veggies of the month and get them to try it. So with that food tasting, it kind of inspires them to try different stuff.
How do you honor and promote food heritage of the Choctaw when you do like food presentations, or aside from obviously being on the sites and campus of the Choctaw, what activities that you do that might be different from how we present a food tasting as Mississippi Farmers?
Yeah, like you have visited before through Food Fellowship, we actually love to cook it ourselves. So for example, of course, with the COVID, we can't do that now, but with everything slowly dying down, hopefully by the end of the year or next year, we're trying to bring that back where, like I said, we're partnering back with food distribution on the reservation, where they have more hands and more interns to help us cook veggies, kind of in related back to how we do our cooking. Our Southern, it's like a mixture of Southern cooking, but at the same time, some Choctaw culture in there. And when I say Choctaw culture, it's like we have our own mixes of food that we put in there, but in a healthy method way.
Is it something that you can highlight in particular, maybe from that? Just one or two things that might be special that you all use that may not commonly be used?
Yeah. Let me see. Well, collard greens, we like to mix all of our greens together. Our mustard, our turnip. It gives it a zing, but a sweet kind of type. And what we're really bad at is frying our stuff. Squash. We love our squash. I think our tomatoes is the one we love more. A lot of our elders and a lot of kids, if you could see it on our sites, love tomatoes, green tomatoes. Their main focus is green tomatoes. Some reason we love that one because back then, and even when I was younger, basically tomatoes was our dessert. Yeah. I guess that was the most sweetest thing that we could find. But most of the time we used to just be throughout the gardens and pick from our own garden. So I think I can safely say tomatoes is our main hit.
Gotcha. Any other questions, Ms. Gordon?
Nothing else I can think of. I think you covered it real well. Any questions in the chat box from anybody?
I don't see any. Any questions from the in the audience? Does anyone have any further questions that you would like asked or information? I have one question. Why use hoop houses? Why do you use hoop houses in your production?
Yeah, actually, surprisingly, the tunnels, you're able to, okay, there's a lot where at this moment, greens are at low demand right now. I mean, well, with other farms, but with our tunnels, it actually, I would say our tunnel has our growing capacity to last longer. Because throughout, ever since the time that y'all visited, we still are able to grow some tomatoes. It prolongs the growing capacity for us.
Correct. And you can do year-round production for a lot of stuff depending on the weather and all of it. Correct.
Oh. And all of our tunnels, actually, we have kind of like, the word that I'm looking for. Forgot the word I'm looking for, but we're able to kind of control our temperature at the same time. Yeah.
Controlling it.
Yeah. So when it's freezing outside, we bring out heaters to kind of cater to the vegetables.
Okay. So, go ahead, Ms. Bush.
Pretty much what you're saying is there to extend your season, and even if it's just a high tunnel, it extends at least by a month, 2 weeks ahead and 2 weeks later. And then when you got the greenhouse capacity, it's pretty much year round, except in the summertime, it's a tad too hot. But it's an ideal control environment pretty much in a high tunnel.
Correct.
You can control the water, you can control insects, you can control quite a bit of things. So with that high tunnel, it can pretty much give you what you demand based on your setup in the greenhouses.
Yes, that is correct.
We have a question from the audience, Tameka, and they wanted to know, they said that you've given a wonderful presentation, but what does food sovereignty mean to you? And is that a phrase or term that you use with your work?
Yeah, food sovereignty, that's something that we like to go by. Our focus, the whole reason why there is Choctaw Fresh, because of food sovereignty, with the fact that, like I said, each community, we're not all collected together. That makes us, and then also where we're located, all of our focus with tribal communities, we are all not close to a grocery store or some sort of market. So that's where we get our idea of food sovereignty, because we don't have anything local, not a local grocery store. I'm hoping in some ways, more help, we can eventually, have each general store that we're able to provide to each community.
And in the schools, are you all teaching garden and growing lessons at all? Like, because I noticed you said that they were that the farm sites were connected to elementary school. So is that in the curriculum any type of way, or is it that kind of something that they add into a science course, or is it its own field area of study? How do you all go about approaching that on the classroom side?
Yeah, we do. Actually, we're considered basically a farm, like when we do farm tours, it's basically a field trip. So they get an idea of, we're the only organic Choctaw farm. So we kind of get them out here to kind of help pick with us, help them understand what they can actually grow for themselves in the backyard.
Trying to read through some other questions that may be here. How did you get into this work? How did you personally get drawn into this work? What were you doing prior to this? Like, what was your, I guess, career? Because like prior to me going farm school, I was a teacher. I taught for a number of years. So what were you doing before this, and how did you get into this work?
Yeah, I was actually a Native American elections lawyer with the state of Mississippi in Jackson. And so my love for my tribal member was already there. So when I came and visited with the fellowship, let's see, we came maybe about during this time, wasn't it, the Roderick? Okay.
That's about right.
And so I met Daphne, which was our farm manager, and she mentioned that, they were looking for someone that knows about contracts, grant writing, and I was already doing that already. So I was like, might as well work closer to home. So, and then that was during the time that my dad was getting sick, and I decided to move closer to home. And yeah, I think that was my main focus, finally, to be closer to my family, but yet still I'm able to provide for my tribal members.
Are there any community activities to share your efforts outside of, just the people that work on the farm, the employees that work on the farm? How much community investment do you have? Like, do you have volunteers that may come out and help from time to time? How does that go in the community?
Yeah, UPIC actually is our biggest hit. That's the time that we go to each of our farms and invite all of the members. They don't have to be a tribal member necessarily, just anyone within that community. We ask them to come out and harvest as many as they want to, but really that helps us out knowing that we don't have enough farm hands. They're able to pick out and harvest for us. So by the end of it, that lets us get ready for the next season instead of us trying to go through each tunnel and clear out for ourselves.
Do we have any other questions from the audience?
I see one question. Yes, we deliver to our schools, but mostly our focus is tribal schools right at this moment. Oh, I think it'd be good to mention as well. A lot of the workers here rarely speak more of English, and then some rarely speak Choctaw. So I should have mentioned as well, where I was working at, I was the main translator for all of the elections that's done in Choctaw. I was the one that was ahead of that. So when I came into here, I'm actually the middle person, the liaison between the tribe and non-tribal. So I'm able to speak to a lot of our kids that are used to Choctaw language. I'm able to speak to them in Choctaw. So I kind of break that barrier between Choctaw and English.
Awesome to know. Awesome to know. What is the planning harvesting timeline of stuff in the hoop houses? What timeline do you all typically set with it?
Okay, say that one more time. I lost you.
What is the planting harvesting timeline of products grown in a hoop house?
Let's just say from September to December, we kind of focus on our leafy greens. And then we give it about maybe a month for us to kind of collect ourselves, clean everything, see what we need. And then our leafy greens have made it this far. So next month, we're actually going to clean out everything and get started for our summer harvest about the next 2 months. And that fall season harvest should last us till about October.
Do you know how they handle pest management? Since they are organic, it's an organic certified farm. What do they use? Any type of organic? What organic methods do they use? They obviously have to use some, but what organic methods that you know of that they may use to keep down pests?
That would be a farm manager question, and I have not got there, Roderick. But but honestly, that I've known of, I've seen Daphne, the farm manager. She doesn't actually use any chemicals, and she has that no-tilling method. So I have not seen her, but hopefully I can see it for the fall harvest, a little bit of fall, summer harvest, and hopefully I can have that answer for you.
Okay. That's another question. Do you have any difficulty getting food service directors to buy your produce? And if you do, how do you deal with it?
If you get to know my crew, they like to use, how can I say this in the nicest way? They like to use my face to be the marketing, the sales. But I'm very persuasive. Let me put it like that. I'm very persuasive when it comes to sales. So maybe that's why they keep me on that one as well. Mm-hmm. But I like to understand if there's something that we can't meet, I try to kind of negotiate a lot. So I have not came across that yet. But I think actually the only con that we've came across is that there is literally a lot of people asking for our produce now that we're in that bind where we can't provide to everyone. So that so far that is our only issue that we've came across.
What are what are some future initiatives to expand and increase your program?
Elaborate a little bit more.
Just your overall production. What, like, do you have a 5-year plan beyond now? Like, do you plan to grow, acquire more land? Is it just hiring new people? What type of new programs that may be started? Things of that nature. How do you look to expand and grow out beyond where you are now?
Okay. We're actually in the process of getting a business plan going. So we're trying to become, first of all, nonprofit. We feel like that would help us a lot more on the reservation, being nonprofit. And also we've started to expand where not just livestock, but we are in the process of getting on board with hemp too. So even though we don't have enough hands, you know, our love and our ideas that flow through Choctaw Fresh, we're trying to broaden that more, knowing that sadly, we can't just depend on the produce to keep us sustained for our business. So we started looking elsewhere. And yes, that's one of them. As far as hiring more people, it's kind of hard. Everyone has this mentality of when it comes to farming, they feel like in a negative way that it's resulting back to labor work. So I think we're trying to, in a way, also kind of educate the schools and let them know, hey, you know, just because you're in a farming field, that's not all what you're going to do. You can do other stuff. You can hit on business. You can hit on accounting, some ways lawyering, because of the fact that, you know, we do grants, we do contracts, nutritional. So with the different employees that we have that's all interested in different, they have their education hit all of these aspects of career-wise. So we're hoping it'll open up some eyes for the people out there.
We have another question in the chat box that says, can you give us an example of your negotiations between the farm and the school nutrition program within your school? For an example, like your contracts, or how does the farm and the school work together?
Yeah, we work with our school. Sometimes it's best with the situation of not knowing if you'll provide enough or how the business is basically run. You know, everyone changes within every week. So we always have an open PO. With the tribal wise, it's good to have an open PO. That's what's been working good for our travel programs at the moment. You know, if we're able to meet this demand, if not, you know, if we go over, we're still being compensated for that work. For our schools, honestly, the whole big reason why our contract or any kind of relationship that is there is through farm to school, actually. That's where most of our initiatives, our activities, our focus for the farm to school is dealing locally. So if whatever that we're not able to provide, we look elsewhere. Like here in Philadelphia, we're able to get local honey, local milk. We just ordered local catfish from Macon. So whatever we're not able to provide, we make sure we're able to outreach to other local entities or local businesses so that we're all kind of working with each other locally.
Okay.
Any other questions from the audience as we are prepared to wrap up? Again, we want to thank you all for coming out and being a part of this presentation. We want to thank Ms. Tameka Bell for being our presenter today. She's done a wonderful job and talking about all the great work that she's doing at Choctaw Fresh. We're truly appreciative, and we hope to be able to grow our partnership with you, strengthen our partnership with you going forward. Just a few housekeeping things before we get off of this particular session. If you look in the chat box, Sydney has attached a bulletin board to where you can go and promote any events or any activities that you may have coming up this year, over the next few months, or whatever the case is that you want to get the word out about, because partnership is very key, and this is how we go about doing that. I would like to invite you all back for the 2 o'clock session that we have. It is Uprooting Racism and Seeding Sovereignty. I think there's going to be a very powerful workshop. I think everybody should be in attendance if you're able. And know that this year's conference, we were holding regional networking Zooms, and we will announce those via the newsletter and on our Facebook, so be sure to follow us there. And most importantly, lastly, you all, those garden grants are still open. We made it more available if you are a family in Mississippi. And after this, please stay on for a brief survey so that we can know how effective or how impactful this was for you. I want to say thank you all again. Thank you to all the panelists, and thank you, Tameka, again for a great presentation. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I hope to see most of you all back at 2 o'clock.